Welcome to the Laurent Collective podcast, where we go deeper than just surface talk.
Each week, we'll explore everything from family, business, creativity, culture, and faith.
To make sure not to miss an episode, be sure to subscribe and hop on to Instagram at Laurent Collective to chat with us about this episode.
Hello.
Hello.
We are back today, and we thought we would do something kind of different. You guys have heard from our oldest son, Zane, before, but you may have noticed in the past 2 episodes,
I think so.
Something like that there's a new little intro song for us, and that was composed. What do you say, Zane? Is it composed?
It would be composed. Yeah.
Okay, composed by Zane.
You can say both.
It
doesn't
written
matter.
and composed. But Zane also has written and composed. Now I don't know what to say. Created, thank you.
Yeah.
His first album, and you have a second one on the way.
Yeah.
And so we thought we would talk to him about just the process of it and ideas behind it and things like that. Zane, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Already have.
Yeah.
So Zane, what is your album called?
My album is called Multiversal Calm. I just sort of got the idea just because, I don't know, I like multiverse theory, multiverse stuff in general.
What does that mean for those of us that don't know what that means?
For
me,
for people who don't know what the multiverse theory is,
it's
the theory that there are many parallel universes outside of ours that are like what would happen if one decision was changed, or like every action, every choice you make, there's a separate universe created where you don't, or you do a different action, and then the stuff plays out that way. And so there's infinite parallel universes where everything we've done, everything from little small things to the big decisions, change.
So kind of like the What If show that you guys watch?
Basically like the What If show, but
Notice
if it was a
scientific
theory.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So you what?
So wait, I'm
sorry,
interested because multiversal. So that's such a big thing. It's such a massive thing, but then the second word is calm.
Yeah.
And so there's that's kind of I don't know, those are kind of opposite in some ways.
Well, yeah, I think it was a good representation for how the album personally is the emotions I was trying to convey, because I want to make people just sort of chill with it, and because that's the entire point of lo-fi music, which is the genre of the album.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about a little bit about that, Zane. So the album is more, it's more like instrumental and basically, yeah, you said it's lo-fi. So what does that mean, lo-fi? Because there's probably a lot of people that probably don't quite understand.
I was listening to lo-fi and I didn't know that's what it was.
Yeah, so lo-fi is essentially a sort of mixture of electronic music and a bit of hip hop, the beats and stuff that it contains, and it's normally at a little bit of a slower BPM compared to normal pop songs, whereas pop songs are normally around 110 to 150. My songs at least are around 80, 90-ish.
Okay. I have no idea what that means, but
yeah,
that sounds
basically,
good to me. You could be saying anything.
Basically, there are 4 beats in a bar,
yeah,
and the bar is a main part of the music, and then every single beat you have, you can have as a certain number of beats per minute, and that's how fast the song is. Anyway.
Well, so this is the thing. I mean, this is how your mind, you've been drawn to music since you were very little.
Probably 3.
Yeah, well, younger than that. You were tapping beats on the table and stuff. I remember being in a restaurant. We had 2 friends with us that were musicians, and you were tapping to the song that was playing over, with the speakers or whatever at the restaurant. And they told your daddy and I, they were he's tapping to the beat of the song that's playing, and we were like, oh, he does that all the time. Like, we just thought that was normal. We didn't realize that wasn't a normal thing, that kids that age didn't pick up on the beat and stuff like that. And so music has always been something that you've been drawn to. Do you know why you've been drawn to it? Like, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, I know you probably don't remember why you were drawn to it when you were 3, but why now?
That's a very big question.
I know it is. Sorry.
I think the main reason I'm drawn to it is the way it can influence just everything. Like, I'd made a speech about it the one time.
You did.
That's right.
You were in a regional competition. For
yeah,
that.
I was in. By the way, I was in a regional speaking competition.
So humble.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's just about the way it can influence, like, the way people feel. You know, the emotions it can convey, the things that it can change, the people in it that it can inspire, and the way it can sort of change someone's worldview if it's strong enough, or even just be super recognizable so that, like, you know, 3/4 of the world would pick up on what you're humming if you were to hum it. So I think, yeah, that is just sort of a small snippet of why I'm drawn to it so much.
Yeah, and you seem to have a I'm not going to even use the right words right now, because the thing is Pat and I love music, but we don't like some of the stuff that Zane just said earlier. We're like, sure, because we don't
we don't have any real musical background.
Well, I took clarinet. Excuse me.
I took saxophone as well.
I mean,
but
Grandpa sings karaoke.
Well, yeah,
you do have musical stuff in your bloodline.
He'll be extremely proud that you said that. So that's where your musical talent comes from.
Well, yes, and there's a lot of musical talent on my side. It skipped over me, that's for sure. But so.
Yeah, I think what's cool. So I would love to get more into your album, Zane, because I think what you were talking about with, like, just the impact that music can have on people's lives and things like that. The one thing that, at least for me, music does is bring up certain memories and things like that, especially if I hear, you know, an older song or something like that. And so I think thinking about that, I would love to hear kind of some of your thoughts on some of the tracks that you did, because from what I remember during your process that you were telling me is certain things had certain memories or certain, I don't know, influences because of experience and things like that you've had that created those music. So I'd love to hear more about maybe some specific songs if you want to, or if you just want to talk in general about that.
Yeah, I mean, I could go through sort of the tracks in general. There's 8 of them. So the first one, called Liminal Space, I believe. That sort of came from my interest in liminal spaces, which are like a concept of places that are in between. So, like, you know, buildings that are empty, or maybe just like a hallway that's empty, and they sort of convey a feeling of nostalgia, and a bit of eeriness, I think.
Cool.
I really like those, and I think they're pretty cool, so I wanted to sort of embody that in a song. So, like, the background noise you hear when you're listening to it is like the fluorescent buzz of a light, and I thought that was pretty cool. The second track, It's Okay We're at the Lake, was so that's like the catchphrase that our family has when we go to my grandma and grandpa's lake house that's in the States, and that just sort of was something that I remembered, and I want to remember, because it's a really nice place. It's a place that a lot of memories have been made, and then I sort of connect with our family and stuff. I don't remember what the third track is called. Hang on, wait. Let me. That's probably not a bad thing.
We should have pointed out at the beginning of this that all of us are struggling with some allergies right now. We do not have COVID. We've tested for COVID, but so Zane sounds kind of gunky, Kat does, and I might cough occasionally because the pollen count in London right now is extremely high, and it's really bothering all of us.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's not fun.
Okay, so I think the couple things that you had said in the first 2 tracks, that I love. We had talked about it as you were making him, but the idea that you not only are you using instruments and creating sounds with the instruments and things like that, but you're also finding other like sounds and ambient sounds that you can bring into your tracks
Yeah.
to create rhythm and to create different beats and things like that, or just like an ambient sound in the background. Why do you enjoy doing that? Like,
I don't know. It brings the song together. I think what it does is because if you were to just listen to my songs like flat, like sure the music is there and the emotion is there and it's a good song, but I think with lo-fi especially, there's just an element that you need something there that can sort of bring everything to life, bring everything into focus, in a sense. So I think what the background noise does is it highlights, like if you were to have bland colors and then like one bright color in a piece of art, the bright color is obviously going to stand out, and then that's going to altogether make the piece better. So I think that's sort of what the background noise does with the music, is it helps it stand out, as well as sort of creating a sort of another element of texture. So
I like the idea of like
varied.
it's more of the bright color among kind of general colors.
Yeah.
In a sense, so that then can draw out more uniqueness within the general colors.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. So.
Well, I think it's cool too because I mean you were talking about how you were listening to what's Billie Eilish's brother's
Phineas.
name? Phineas was talking about like I think his sister was getting dental work done or something.
Yeah.
And it was the sound of the drill, and he just recorded the sound because he was interested in it. And then that's in one of her most popular songs, the sound of that drill and the recording that he did. And so I think it's so I don't personally hear things around me in that way. Like I'm like, oh, there's a sound. I'm sometimes like drawn to something, but I love that you and like clearly other people and other musicians and stuff hear it and are like find some kind of like music in it. And I think that's really cool that then you've done that in your music. So we were on song three. Go for it.
Windowsill Feels, third song. That sort of just comes from the feeling I get when I'm like, I've got headphones in, I'm just sort of, it's like the end of the day, it's like
Your
the
introverted
afternoon.
time?
Yeah, it's my introverted time because the entire family just is on me all times.
No, we are not.
That's a lie.
There's one
But-
person that is on you most of the time.
My brother is
Very extroverted.
very extroverted, and that's not
and
fun.
you share a room with him.
Anyway, yeah, so I every so often I like to think of like, looking out a window, sitting on a windowsill, like the song is titled, and there's rain sounds in the background because that's the sort of sound I associate with that sort of environment, and it's also sleep. It's just a very relaxing sound. Yeah, and that's sort of where that song came from.
Yeah.
Fourth song, Fuzzy Snow. That comes from my love of winter. In general,
Strange
we
love
have
of
yes,
winter.
I am aware. I love the coldest season. I love what many people consider the worst season. But it's a good season.
You love it.
Yes, I love
That's
it.
okay.
Reverse Psychology. I believe I named this after the fact that it is the least lo-fi-y song of the mix. So it's sort of like a play on like, oh yeah, this is the least lo-fi, so it's the reverse of
That makes
anyway
sense.
Of what the album is.
of
Yeah.
what the album is. Yeah. So that I didn't really have a name for that specifically. Iced Tea and Lemonade. That one's for. So we have have you guys talked about Fauntleroy on this podcast before? Fauntleroy,
Probably.
sorry.
Maybe a little bit.
me.
But yeah, we have friends in the States.
Yeah,
that-
friends of the States that were like, we love. We're really close with them. And they always had this drink in their fridge called. What was it called?
I think it's called an Arnold Palmer.
Yeah. Anyway, it was like a mixture of iced tea and lemonade at the same time, and I always got angry because their oldest son and the dad always drank it, and I was like, that's not fair. It'd be like middle of the night, and I'd see them drinking it.
Middle of the
it's
night.
because in
the evening.
Okay,
Yes.
in the
Probably
evening,
because the
fine.
amount of caffeine in it that we probably were
didn't let
like,
you drink
no.
it.
Well, no, because they have like some resistance or something where the caffeine does the opposite effect. I think is what they said.
So we have,
time.
but yeah.
Anyway,
And for all our British listeners right now, they're like, you would put tea and lemonade together,
I forgot about that.
and so it's non-fizzy lemonade. It's still lemonade,
Yes.
and it's iced tea, which is just a foreign concept in general. I guess there's some,
a little
like
bit here.
Lipton tea that is in bottles that you can find. That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about mixing hot tea with lemonade. That would be disgusting.
that would
And
not
then
be very
lemonade,
good.
probably in the States versus the UK, is a little.
That's why I
different
said
as well.
still lemonade.
Yeah.
It's still lemonade, not fizzy lemonade, because that would be very strange as well. Anyway, so that's why you picked that song.
Yeah.
Because that just reminds you of.
Yeah,
our
it just
friends.
reminds me of the Friends. Sleeping on the train. I love the Tube, just in general. It's a great place. It's a great environment. Sometimes, it's busy. It's not the best to be cramped in a cab or a car, whatever you want to call it, with like 100 other people jammed in. But
So you like it when it's less busy?
I
is what
like
you're
it when
saying.
it's less busy. Yeah.
And there's plenty of space to move about and
Yeah.
have your own seat.
But it's just a cool environment. I guess it is, in a sense, a sort of another liminal space, where it's like in between. It's a place you're using to travel. So I just sort of wanted to embody that in a song. There's the train noises in the background, and just the melody is quite nice. So yeah, that's that song. And then the final song, The Blue Collar, was sort of my tribute to my dog in the States, who's in the States at the moment.
Well, she's gonna stay in the
Yeah,
States.
she's
somebody
gonna
else's dog
stay
now.
in the States. She's someone else's dog now. But the backstory behind that was the whole reason that I picked her out when we were going to pick out dogs was there was two. There was one with a purple collar and there was one with a blue collar. And I just at the time really liked the color blue, so I chose
As
out.
you're sitting here in all blue right now, pretty much.
True.
I think that's still true.
Yeah.
So I picked out Luna, and then so the song name I thought sounded a bit like a spaceship, as well as Luna has very like space celestial connotations as a name, so that sort of I have like spaceship ambience in the background, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the album.
So Zane, explain to everybody, because I have tried to explain to people basically when they've asked how did he create this. I'm like, well, he created it with his computer, and I tried to describe the pad thing that you have. What is it called?
It's called a.
It's okay if you don't know exactly what it's called. Describe it
Specifically,
maybe.
no. Anyway, it's like a little. It's like a rectangle that sits on my.
It looks like a little
desk.
like the size of like maybe an iPad
Yeah,
that has buttons on it.
and it's got 16 buttons that I can map to either sounds. So, for instance, different parts of the set, I can like tap it; it'll play the kick or the snare or the hi hat. Or I have different notes. For instance, I'll like lay it out so I can hit this note and it'll play a C, or hit this note and it'll play like a B flat or something. And then that I use to just sort of that I can use to record onto my laptop, and then use software called Ableton to just sort of bring everything together, mix stuff a little bit, and add the ambience in the background, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So Zane, like, because we didn't teach you this, how did you learn how to do all this stuff?
I learned how to do all this. Mainly trial and error, and my music teachers is pretty much.
Yeah, so we should explain, and we may have explained this in a separate podcast when we talked to Zane, I can't remember, but here, when you get to a certain age, the age that Zane is at, around like 14, 15, you go into year 10, which is 9th grade in the States. You pick you have 10 subjects you pick that you are focused on. And so you have your normal ones like math and English and language and stuff like that. But then you get some options of things as well. Like there's certain things
Like
that are
specialties.
requirement, and then there's some specialties. And so one of those specialties that Zane picked is both computing, which I think has come into this as well, computing and music. And then at the end of 2-year time, from the year 10 to year 11, you take what is called your GCSEs. The research I have done and stuff to compare it to
like
people in the
SAT.
States, it's basically like your SATs, but it's I don't know how SATs are now, but when we took them, it was like everything all in one test, pretty much focused on math and English. And then that kind of thing, and reading comprehension. But this is like you have a test in each one of these subjects, everything from
Sometimes like three
sometimes,
tests
yeah,
for
exactly.
each
Like French,
subject
you
as
have 3
well.
tests. Music, he'll have one.
Actually, I have 4 for French.
Oh, sorry. For music, you'll have a performance and composition, which would be stuff like what you're doing right now, and then a written exam as
Yeah.
well. So they have exams in each of those, and that is kind of what then is basically what moves them on to like the next level when they're 16 through 18. Then they can do A levels, or they can go on to do an apprenticeship, or you can be done with school too.
Yeah, true.
So it's very similar to SATs, but it's way more focused, which it's, there's on both sides of the fence. There's things that are, can you tell your friends to quit texting
Yeah,
me?
sorry.
Or put it in your lap or something, not on the desk. Too funny. But so anyways, that's why also that you've had some experience in this stuff, which is very cool as well. Yeah. With that, when did you create this stuff?
When?
Yes.
So I spend a lot of time, like, as in dates or
No, I don't. You don't need to give
No.
us dates, but like, what time of day did you do it? Like
mostly
when?
at night.
Yeah.
I'm a night person.
He
I
is
don't
a
like
night person.
mornings very much. I
think every teenager would say that.
am most efficient at working during night. So I would, yeah, that's around the time I would do stuff. It's like 7 to like
10 is what
10.
your cutoff is supposed to be, but we normally have to tell him to. So I'm going to bait you a little bit here. Do you
Oh,
already know what I'm
geez.
going to do?
What are you gonna do?
So we have some family rules about technology, don't we? He's turning around in his chair. If you could see him right now, he doesn't even want to admit this. We have some rules that, for instance, that you're not allowed to play games during the week, only on the weekends, unless it's a break or something that's
Yeah.
different. Like no video games during those times, no TV in the evenings after school, that kind of stuff. Do you feel like actually having that space helped you have time to create this? Do you think you would create it if you were able to play video games?
Well, I know you wouldn't let us play video games past 7 if we were able to anyway, so I don't think that would hinder my ability to work on this at all.
He doesn't like this question.
So, yeah. I don't know. I don't like this question.
He refused to answer. Well, here's what I will say on that. We have created those rules in our family. Everybody's different in what they do, but we have created those rules in our family because we have noticed with our kids in particular, you guys need time to just, I don't know what the right word is, be creative, have time to be bored. Yes,
Yeah, be bored.
your brother hates when I say that. To be bored, because then it forces you to do some other things or find something to do. And I watched you during those times. And on the weekends, you didn't create it a lot because you were able to play video games and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it was really cool to see you doing that. Of course, I recognize you are on technology when you're doing this, but we would see this as different.
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
use of it.
I think what the coolest part, at least for your mom and I, to watch you do this is to see something's clicking for you. There's like a passion that's growing, which is really, really cool and exciting to see in you. And so, yeah, we're just like super excited about it. And like the fact that you've already done your second album is pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I'm finished with it, so it should be releasing in a couple days, maybe a week-ish.
A week from the time this podcast is up, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The
No,
it'll
yeah.
probably be.
It probably might be.
I mean, yeah, it might be up already.
Yeah. I think the coolest thing too is like you like watching other things too, like what's that thing we watched with Mark Ronson and stuff like.
I don't remember.
I can't remember what the name of it is.
Sound or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's something on it, but we'll sit down with Zane and like something. Sometimes we don't even understand it. That when we were watching that show, you're like, oh yeah, I hear that. That's the da 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 da, and they start going into all of this music talk, and Pat and I are like, sure, like you understand what they're talking about right now. We don't understand it. So it's cool to see where you're getting inspiration and thinking through things. But then also, like, you did one thing, and what a lot of people would do would be like, oh, great, I did that. I don't need to touch another thing. And you just dove right into making another album. What is the next one's definitely not lo-fi. What is the inspiration for this is it lo-fi?
This one is lo-fi. The one I'm working on at the moment.
Oh, wait, hold on, time out. I don't think I recognize that.
He's working on a third one.
I'm working, well,
so
not
the second one that's coming out is called what?
So the second one that's coming out is called Metro Memories. Similar idea
kind
from
of lo-fi.
the first album.
Okay.
It's
I
very
didn't know he was
lo-fi.
working on a third.
Yeah. It's a bit more melodic, the third one. The second one.
Yeah.
But
then the newest one.
But then the third one, whenever that comes out.
The one that I'm working on at the moment is a much more upbeat, much more fast, much more...
It reminds me of gaming music is what it reminds me of.
That's sort of what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Is like a gaming soundtrack.
Like an 8-bit gaming sound.
Yeah. Which I think is cool, is we've always talked to you guys about, like, when we're watching anything, and this is something I think any parents can do, is like when we're watching something, we're like, somebody came up with, well, you know, even if you're playing a video game, someone came up with that music, and then, or on a movie, someone had to come up with the music and the sounds that are in the things, and then we're telling Jude, like, someone had to came up with the creatures and had to draw them and get them to move and actually make them look like a creature and stuff, and so, like, it doesn't just mean, I don't know what you're going to do with music, but it doesn't just mean you have to be, like, on the pop charts. Is that a thing? Pop charts?
Sure.
Pop charts.
I just
yeah,
aged
sure,
myself.
we'll go with
Well,
that.
it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be on stage performing something.
Exactly.
That's
You
what-
could. There's
yeah.
so many different ways that you can use music. I don't know. Maybe you will be on stage performing something. We have no clue what you're going to do with it, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts at all on that, or are you just kind of just having fun
I
playing?
mean, I'd like to just have my stuff known. Whatever method that is, I don't know. Sure, we can perform, but sure, also I could compose soundtracks. I could, do whatever with it. I just would like people to feel my music, I guess.
That's cool. That's very cool.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. Anything else you want people to know about? The reason why we did this
we
is...
also want to make sure that people know that. What is your artist name?
Oh, yeah.
Lars.
How do you spell
so
that?
Laurz.
Yeah. Or Zed. If you're in...
I refuse to say Zed. It's no.
Yes, and that you can find it. Where you can listen to it is on Spotify currently.
Yeah, currently.
And so you can either probably the easiest way is to search by your name.
Yeah,
and then they can.
The easiest name is to search by Lars.
So it's
You could also search
LAURZ
by
or
the
Zed.
album name if you're just looking for the specific album.
Yes, exactly. So you can find and listen to the album there. We'll link it in the notes and everything on the podcast as well. But we just thought it would be cool for you to hear from Zane because I don't know.
I think what's cool is this kind of came out of nowhere.
It did. Well, I mean, he got the little... I just keep calling it a pad. I don't know. It has a name.
It is a pad.
Okay,
yeah,
he got the
it's
pad
called.
thing for his birthday in February, and it kind of sat there for a little bit, and then your dad and I were like, are you going to play with that? And it was almost like you had forgot about it, and then you're like, yeah, sure, and then you just started getting it out.
You haven't not used it. Like, you use it on every single day. Like, it's just nonstop. It's always out. You're doing something.
Yeah.
My favorite
on a
thing,
daily basis,
and my favorite thing to watch you when you're doing stuff, like sometimes Pat and I will be reading books upstairs, and Zane's at the kitchen table and creating and stuff, is like your joy when you're creating. Like if he does something that he really likes, he's like, oh, awesome, or like you'll say it, and then sometimes I've done some videos that I won't share because I know you don't want me to, where he's like dancing to his own music because he's like, that sounds so good together and stuff like that. So you're having fun doing it, and I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Like you're enjoying yourself in it, and you're stretching yourself too. There are also times where you've been like, "Oh, I don't like that," or "That's not what I meant to do," or you did one time shut your computer down and you forgot to save it.
I've done that 3 times actually.
Oh, sorry, bud.
That's painful, but it happens.
Yeah. So you're also like getting through the frustration of it too, which that's all part of it. Things that we love,
Yeah.
have the good and the frustrating parts in it too. So. Awesome. It was so good. Thank you for... Oh, we almost made it without you.
No.
He's going to start now. Anything that you want to say to kids who may be interested in music?
Just do whatever.
Practice.
Listen.
Do you think
is
it's
the main thing?
I mean, it's probably been, as I say, listen. It's important for you to understand some of the structures and foundations of music, or...
It's definitely important to understand, like, what is going on in it. I think... just having a basic knowledge of like music theory is a good thing to have, but you don't need it. I'm sure.
That's true.
To quote T-Pain, I mean, I might be paraphrasing, but he said the next person to become like top on the charts probably doesn't even know how to play a guitar because of the technology that we have at our disposal. There's so much you can do. I don't know how to play guitar personally.
Mm-hmm. You do drums. And
I mean, I obviously know a lot of other instruments. I think it's just do whatever feels right. Listen, play, practice, pick up, whatever.
And I think it's cool that you listen to all kinds of music too.
Yeah, I think that's helpful.
Yeah, like if you were to hit shuffle on my like songs, you'd probably hear like a gaming soundtrack, and then there's a song from the 1950s, and then there's like this like weird instrumental where everything's ambient, and then there's a Dua Lipa song or something. I don't know.
That's awesome.
That's cool. I love that you that you get inspiration from all kinds. And he's actually starting to like some of our music that we like too. So that's cool.
Sometimes pretty good. I will admit.
Other times he thinks it's horrible, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, we hope you guys give it a listen. We'd love to hear from you of what you think. Or do let us know if you guys have questions. If your kids are interested in music or any kind of creativity, let us know questions that you have, because I'm sure Zane would be willing to answer, Jude and Veda would be willing to answer, and stuff like that, of just things that, that kind of foster that and help you guys with that. So,
absolutely.
Any last words? I think I already asked you that question, didn't I?
No.
Yeah, you already asked me that. I've already said them,
yes.
I believe.
Thanks so much for listening, and do please rate and review the podcast. We are going to be giving away some Laurent Collective mugs, and so if Zane's like, we should probably more have those in our house.
Yeah, we don't have any of those in our house.
We have one. But maybe we should enter the
such good ambassadors.
We should enter the competition. But if you do that, screenshot it and send it to us on Instagram at Laurent Collective, and we will put you in the drawing for that. But thanks for listening, and we will talk to you soon.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Laurent Collective podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, which helps others find our podcast. Continue the conversation with us over on Instagram at Laurent Collective.
We look forward to going deeper than just surface talk with you again next week.